Welcome to episode 12. This one sounds innocent, but don't let the words fool you. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. It's subtle, tactical, and probably one of the most psychologically complex laws in the entire book.
It really is. And what makes it powerful and dangerous is that it uses virtues like honesty and generosity not as ends, but as tools. Greene makes it clear, the most trusted person in the room is often the most dangerous. Why? Because no one sees the strike coming when it's preceded by kindness.
Exactly. This law is about lowering someone's defenses, not through pressure, but through trust. Not by threatening, but by giving. And once they let their guard down, you've already won. That's the strategy.
It's not about lying all the time. That's not effective. It's about when to be honest, when to give, and doing it in a way that creates dissonance. You disarm people by showing them something they're not expecting, something they want to believe is genuine.
And here's what most people don't understand. Humans are wired to respond to honesty. Even just a moment of vulnerability can shift the entire tone of a conversation. It creates the illusion of transparency. That illusion is powerful.
Right. Greene isn't telling you to be fake. He's saying, understand how perception works. If you give someone a piece of truth, especially a truth that makes you look human, humble, even weak, they'll assume everything else you say is coming from the same place.
And that's the trap. One well-placed confession, one unexpected act of generosity, and suddenly their suspicions shut down. Their critical thinking softens. You're no longer a threat in their mind. You're trustworthy.
And once you're seen as trustworthy, influence becomes easy. People open up to you. They reveal more. They ask less. Because in their minds, you've already shown your cards. You've already earned their confidence.
There's even a psychological bias for this. It's called the halo effect. One good trait leads people to assume other good traits. You give a little honesty, and suddenly people project integrity, empathy, reliability, even if none of that is real.
And you don't need to overdo it. That's the beauty of this law. It only takes a moment. One story, one gesture, one favor that costs you little but earns you a mountain of trust.
And while they're relaxed, while they're not watching the edges, that's when you move. That's when you lead, negotiate, redirect. They won't resist because they think they're safe.
There are countless historical examples of this law in action, and there's some of the most subtle power plays you'll ever see. One of my favorites is how Abraham Lincoln used vulnerability strategically. He often told self-deprecating stories, admitted flaws, not because he was weak, but because it made people trust him deeply. And then he'd lead them exactly where he wanted.
Yes, and there's this moment people underestimate. When a leader or strategist chooses to show imperfection on purpose, it's a controlled move. You give them something real so they stop looking for what's hidden. It's like a magician who lets you examine the wrong hand while the trick happens in the other.
Exactly. Selective honesty is distraction. You're giving truth, but not all of it. Just enough to shift attention. Just enough to lower resistance. The rest of the plan stays quiet.
And selective generosity works the same way. A small gift, a timely favor, an unexpected opportunity. People don't forget those things. They attach meaning to them. And most importantly, they start to feel indebted.
That's what makes this law so brilliant. It weaponizes gratitude. It creates emotional imbalance in your favor. You do something small that looks big, and now they feel like they owe you, even if they can't explain why.
And it's not just about one-on-one dynamics. Entire empires have been built and held together through carefully timed displays of generosity. Think about how monarchs or political figures give symbolic rewards, honors, gifts, not because they're generous, but because it makes people loyal.
That's how you turn a gesture into leverage. The gift isn't the power, it's what the gift creates. Influence, gratitude, a false sense of intimacy. Suddenly, you're no longer just a name in the room. You're someone they remember, someone they trust.
And when people trust you emotionally, They rarely question your motives logically. That's the hidden danger. They fill in the blanks in your favor.
Which is why Greene warns us, the more authentic your honesty or generosity feels, the more dangerous it becomes, because it bypasses critical thinking. It enters through the heart, not the mind.
And if you use it well, you don't need force. You don't need arguments. You simply become the person they lower their guard around, and in that moment, you're already ahead.
Because real power doesn't always walk through the front door. Sometimes it walks in wearing a smile, holding a gift, and telling the truth, just enough of it.
Let's bring this into modern environments, offices, leadership spaces, even personal relationships. We see this law play out every day. Think of that manager who admits a personal flaw during a team meeting. It feels raw, vulnerable, and suddenly the team lets down their guard. They feel seen. But what just happened? Authority was reinforced through humility.
It's such a powerful shift. That small moment of honesty makes people feel like, okay, they're one of us. And that's where loyalty starts forming, not from hierarchy, but from emotional alignment. You feel closer to someone when they let you see just a crack in the armor.
And it doesn't have to be deeply personal either. Even a small concession during a negotiation, admitting you're unsure about one part of a deal, can make the other party relax. They stop seeing you as an opponent. They start seeing you as collaborative.
That's the real trick here. Selective honesty softens opposition. It shifts the dynamic from defense to dialogue. And once that shift happens, influence flows naturally.
It's subtle, but you'll hear it in everyday phrases. I probably shouldn't say this, but, or honestly, I struggled with that too. Those are access points. They signal truth even if the person using them is controlling exactly how much truth gets through.
And people rarely notice, because the moment someone opens up, even a little, we stop scanning for manipulation. We're wired to believe honesty equals safety, so we fill in the gaps with trust.
That's why this law is so effective in leadership. Great leaders use vulnerability sparingly but strategically. They know when to admit mistakes, when to share part of the struggle, not because they want sympathy, but because it humanizes their authority.
Same with generosity. A well-timed gesture, a compliment, a reference, a favor, makes people feel seen. And most people are so starved for recognition that they'll attach deep meaning to small signals.
And that attachment creates space. It invites connection. But more than that, it sets the stage for influence. Once someone believes you're on their side, they start leaning in, not pulling away.
That's when you can guide, redirect, shape decisions, tone, direction, without ever having to force it, because they're open. You've already disarmed them.
And the irony is, they'll thank you for it. They'll remember you not as someone who took control, but someone who understood them. That's how deep this law goes.
Because in the end, people don't just follow logic, they follow trust. And when you learn to create that trust with precision, even your smallest moves carry weight. At this point, it's worth pausing to ask, how far is too far? Because there's a fine line between using selective honesty strategically and becoming manipulative. This law is powerful, yes, but it's not licensed to deceive for sport.
That's the ethical tension here. Greene writes from the perspective of power, not morality. He shows what works, not necessarily what's right. And if you're not grounded in purpose, it's easy to abuse this law.
Exactly. If the goal is control for its own sake, or if your honesty becomes a mask for exploitation, people will eventually feel it. They may not catch it immediately, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And that's where trust fractures.
That's why this law demands maturity. You need to be able to self-check your intentions. Are you disarming someone to protect your vision, or are you manipulating because it's easy?
Because once you build a reputation for calculated kindness, it sticks. People begin to question your motives, even when you're being genuine. That's the danger. Influence built on illusion can collapse fast once the mask slips.
And that collapse is brutal. When someone feels betrayed, not by your actions, but by the fact that they trusted you, it turns to bitterness. People don't just walk away, they pull others with them.
So the smartest way to use this law is not to fake generosity or honesty, but to highlight the parts of you that are real, but selectively timed for impact. You're not lying, you're choosing which truth to emphasize and when.
That's a key distinction. You don't need to fabricate anything. You already have stories, struggles, wins, moments of humility. Use them wisely. No one revealing something small can serve a bigger purpose.
And if generosity is your tool, use it with awareness. Don't overextend. Don't give out of guilt or to buy favor. Instead, give in ways that elevate the space around you and strengthen your position at the same time.
Greene is showing us that power isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it gives. And when it does, it creates an emotional contract, unspoken but powerful.
The contract is this: I gave something real, now I have access. And that access, that's where influence begins. But it only works if what you gave felt sincere.
And if it wasn't, if it was just a tactic with no soul behind it, people will feel that too, eventually. And the damage will be deeper than if you'd just been honest from the start.
Let's talk about how to apply this law in a way that's both effective and sustainable. One of the best places to start is in professional environments. People often think power comes from dominating meetings or having the loudest voice. But sometimes, the most effective move is disarming the room with one honest sentence.
Yes, like saying, "I'm still figuring that part out," when everyone else is pretending to have all the answers. That simple act of transparency lowers the tension in the room. It resets the tone. And suddenly, you're not just another voice. You're the one everyone feels they can trust.
That's power. Quiet, credible, and rare. And because it's rare, it stands out. But again, it only works if you do it selectively. If you're too honest, too often, you lose your strategic edge.
Same applies in negotiation. Share just enough truth to humanize your position, but not enough to weaken it. It's about shaping perception, not exposing your entire hand.
And with generosity, timing is everything. Let's say you're in a competitive workplace. Instead of waiting for people to recognize your work, you recognize theirs, publicly, intentionally. You give credit where others would hoard it. That generosity, it builds capital.
That's influence, because now people want to align with you. You're not just effective, you're generous, and that makes you harder to frame as a threat. While they're bracing for competition, you're disarming with praise.
And the same principle works in relationships. You want deeper trust? Share something real. Not everything, not your entire past, just a piece that shows self-awareness. That opens the door without removing the frame.
And let's not forget the importance of body language, tone, timing. Sometimes the most powerful, honest moment isn't what you say, but how you say it. A pause, a shift in tone, a quieter voice. Those subtle signals do a lot of heavy lifting.
People believe what feels emotionally congruent. So if your tone, timing, and language match the moment, even a small truth becomes a memorable one.
And once that moment lands, you're in. You've earned a layer of trust most people never reach. And from that place, everything gets easier. Collaboration, persuasion, influence.
But it's not magic. It's structure. It's strategy. You're not being honest because you have to. You're being honest because it creates the exact opening you need when you need it. So what do we take from all this? That honesty and generosity aren't just moral decisions. They're strategic ones. They're tools. And like any tool, it's all about how, when, and why you use them.
Exactly. Used carelessly, they can weaken your position, but used with intention, they can lower walls, shift power dynamics, and get you access no amount of force ever could.
And that's the key. Access. That's what this law really gives you. People lower their defenses when they feel seen, understood, or gifted. And in that lowered state, you gain space to move, to influence, to lead.
It's not about tricking people. It's about learning how humans work. People don't open up because you demand it. They open up when they feel emotionally safe. And honesty, even selective, creates that safety.
And generosity? Same thing. It doesn't need to be grand. A gesture, a compliment, a little unexpected help. That's all it takes. Most people are so busy protecting themselves that even small signs of goodwill feel like major emotional openings.
That's your entry point. And once you're in, you don't need to dominate. You can steer things gently because they trust you, because they've convinced themselves that you're on their side.
That's what makes this law so elegant and so risky, because the better you get at it, the more tempting it becomes to use it for the wrong reasons, to exploit instead of connect, to manipulate instead of align.
And that's the warning Greene never stops giving. Power isn't neutral. It amplifies who you are. So if you use this law with integrity, it makes you effective. If you use it without integrity, it makes you dangerous, even to yourself.
So here's your challenge. Start noticing where this law is already at play. Who uses selective honesty with you? Who wins you over with small, well-timed gifts or confessions? And more importantly, when could you use this tool to create alignment instead of forcing it?
Because not everything requires a hard push. Sometimes the strongest move is the softest one, and the most disarming weapon in the room is a well-placed truth.
Next week, we shift into a new layer of strategy with Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy. That one, it changes how you ask for anything.
Until then, keep your timing sharp, your honesty selective.
And remember, power speaks gently when it knows exactly what it's doing.